finished moving out yet?
We're just about to leave.
Good, you're quick. We'll move our stuff in right away, too.
My brother-in-law Michael and his family seemed to have it all planned. The moment we left our family home, they moved their stuff in, settling in as if they owned the place. Did we do the right thing letting them in? When I vent my concerns to my husband, he simply laughs.
Don't worry, let them have their fun. It's them who will come crying to us later.
Sure enough, a few months later, Michael called us in a panic. I couldn't help but laugh at their grand misconception. My name is Mary. I met Joseph in college, a senior who was a year older than me. The 1-year age gap felt significant at the time, and Joseph, being so reliable, looked truly dependable. As my feelings for Joseph grew, I confessed to him. Fortunately, Joseph felt the same way, and we started dating. Even after graduation and starting our jobs, our love continued to grow. We couldn't live without each other. Joseph proposed during our 5th year of work. I was thrilled, but nervous about meeting his parents. Joseph, your dad runs his own business, right? And your mom comes from a wealthy family. Will they be okay with someone like me? Joseph reassured me with a smile.
You're thoughtful, and most of all, kind. They'll love you.
Boosted by his confidence, I nervously introduced myself to his parents. So you're Mary. We've been looking forward to meeting you. You're as cute and competent as Joseph said.
Has Joseph been any trouble to you?
No, not at all. Joseph has been so kind to me. Just as Joseph predicted, both his dad Daniel and mom Linda welcomed me warmly. You feel like you've been our daughter forever, they said.
If we ever had a daughter, she would have been just like you,
they added. I sincerely shared with my in-laws. I also think of Daniel and Linda as my own parents. After our wedding and honeymoon, Joseph and I were in a rush to find a new place as our current condo lease was expiring. That's when my father-in-law made us an offer.
Actually, I'll be traveling overseas for a few months starting next month. It's a pretty laid-back job, so I was planning on taking my wife along for some sightseeing. Why don't you live in our house while we're away and take your time finding a new place?
Really? That would be amazing. For us, struggling to find a good property, it was an offer we couldn't refuse. If you don't find a place you like, you can continue living here. I didn't miss the words of my mother-in-law, spoken with a hint of reserve. I'd be so happy if we could. Is that really okay? Are you sure you're all right with that, Mary? Living with your mother-in-law and all? I think of you, Linda, as a real mother, not just my mother-in-law. Joseph's family home is quite a mansion with multiple rooms. Although not built for 2 families, it's more than spacious, with guest restrooms and 2 bathrooms. There's only 1 kitchen, but it was easier for me to alternate cooking for 4 people with my mother-in-law than preparing meals just for the 2 of us. We had a good relationship with my in-laws, so there were only benefits to living with them. We gratefully accepted their offer and started our new life in Joseph's family home. After we moved, they hosted a housewarming party and invited all the relatives. You're the guest of honor, just sit and enjoy, my mother-in-law told me. But I found it equally enjoyable to hear stories from relatives I usually don't get to see.
You really found a considerate woman, Joseph,
the relatives would say. Each time my mother-in-law and I exchanged smiles. Then I realized something was off. Joseph's older brother wasn't there. Joseph is the 2nd son, and he has an older brother named Michael, 2 years his senior. While most of the relatives showed up, Michael and his wife were noticeably absent. Daniel, where are Michael and his wife today? I asked my father-in-law. He looked a little downcast as he replied,
They're fine. Don't worry about them.
When I looked puzzled, my mother-in-law elaborated. Michael used to always come to these things, but ever since he married Jessica, he's been distant. I had heard from Joseph that his mom always favored the eldest son, and she seemed to greatly dislike Jessica for changing her beloved son. In the end, Michael and his wife never showed up that day. Joseph and I sent a moving in greeting letter to their home afterward. A few days later, I received a phone call from Michael.
Is Joseph there?
His voice was curt. Ah, Michael, Joseph is at work today. Can I take a message?
You're Joseph's wife, right? Mary?
Yes, it's been a while.
Why are you two living in the family home?
Huh?
This is a moving notice. The new address is my parents' house, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Daniel and the others recommended it, so we've been graciously living here.
When I heard about your housewarming, I thought how audacious you were to use my parents' house. But I never thought you'd actually be living there. You've got some nerve.
It was clear Michael didn't like that we were living at his parents' home.
Phone calls aren't cutting it. I'm coming over this weekend to talk.
Daniel will be away scouting for an overseas trip next weekend.
I don't care about Dad. I need to talk with you and Joseph.
Well, Joseph might be busy with work too.
Seriously? Then you'll do.
And so Michael came to our home the next weekend. Mother-in-law seemed delighted to see her son after such a long time.
Mom, you're here too?
Of course! I've been looking forward to seeing you, Michael. I'll be heading to Dad's next week, so I'm glad we could meet.
Oh yeah, I heard Dad got a job overseas.
Michael said this with disinterest and glared at me.
Since your eldest son is here, how about making some coffee?
Oh, sorry. As I hurried to make the coffee, Michael sneered.
Just coffee, no snacks. You really don't get it. Usually you serve sweets too.
Sorry. As I rushed to get some snacks, Michael stopped me.
You're not planning on using store-bought snacks, are you? Get some cake from that place downtown. Remember that for next time.
Mother-in-law seemed pleased with her eldest son's visit and didn't offer any help. Mary, could you go get some? Michael has always loved their cakes. It seems mother-in-law wasn't on my side here either. All right. As I prepared to go shopping, Michael had another demand.
For dinner, make me a hamburger steak. Use demi-glace sauce. And don't you dare buy store-made sauce.
You're staying for dinner too?
You got a problem with that? It's your duty as my brother's wife to entertain me.
I went shopping and immediately started preparing dinner. Even though he said he wanted to talk, I had no time for conversation as I got wrapped up in Michael's whims. When dinner was finally ready and I thought we could talk, Michael dropped a bombshell.
Why are there 3 plates?
Because Linda will be eating too, right?
If Mom's here, it's obvious she's eating. The only one who's in the way is you.
In the way?
Yeah, I want to have a quiet dinner with Mom. There's no seat for you.
You can't be serious. After making me prepare the meal, Michael kicked me out of the house. I ended up eating alone outside, then came back when I thought the coast was clear. Shouldn't we talk now? I finally broached the subject with Michael, who nonchalantly replied,
That talk is unnecessary now.
What do you mean?
Jessica and I have decided to live in this house. You and Joseph will have to leave.
What? We've already moved in.
Don't you think it's better for me, the eldest son, to stay in this house, Mom?
My mother-in-law looked regretful as she spoke to me. Mary, I apologize, but Michael finally seems to be stepping up as the eldest son. It would give me peace of mind if he stayed here. Upon hearing his mom's words, Michael grinned smugly.
See, even Mom agrees with me, ha ha ha. So get your stuff packed and move out.
Michael said this and left in a good mood. Caught off guard, I was alone in the bathroom when Joseph finally came home from work.
What's wrong, Mary?
I relayed what Michael had told me.
Michael said that? I can't believe he'd treat you so poorly.
Joseph was furious and reported the situation to his father overseas. After talking to his father, Joseph said to me,
I'm sorry you had to go through this. Let's move out and live on our own.
Encouraged by Joseph, I started packing our belongings. Just when we were about to leave, Michael called.
Are you done moving?
We're about to leave.
Good, you're quick. We'll be bringing our stuff over soon.
As soon as we left, Michael and his family moved their belongings into the house, acting as if it were their own. Did we make the right choice? Seeing Michael and Jessica do as they please, I couldn't help but complain to Joseph.
Don't worry about it. Let them do what they want. They'll be the ones regretting it later.
And just like Joseph said, a few months later, Michael called us in a panic.
Hey, Dad and Mom just contacted me. They said they're coming home from the airport. What's going on?
Isn't it obvious? Their assignment overseas is over, so they're coming back.
I thought they'd be staying there for a while. I didn't hear anything about them coming back. I thought this house was handed down to us.
Originally, we planned to live together once they returned. You knew that when you pushed us out to live here, didn't you?
Jessica would never agree to live with them.
But their belongings are still in the house, right? Where did you think they'd live once they got back? Michael got defensive.
I thought they left the stuff they didn't need here.
You sold it? You sold their belongings?
Yeah, Jessica said we should make money off it if it's not needed.
My in-laws had left behind valuable items like jewelry and watches. If they sold those, it would sum up to a lot of money. So, where's the money now?
It's gone. We spent it like a bonus. What happens if they find out?
I guess it's only a matter of time then, ha ha ha.
Damn, what should I do? Mary, can you come over and help?
Help? Why should I?
So you're Mom's favorite over Jessica, aren't you? Help me out by making it look like Jessica instigated all this. Protecting the eldest son is the duty of a brother's wife.
Don't kid yourself. No way I'd ever lift a finger for a disrespectful couple like you.
Please, I apologize for everything up until now.
An apology won't change anything. You should atone for your own mistakes. That's the role of the eldest son, isn't it? Haha. Ignoring Michael's pleading voice on the other end of the line, I hung up the phone. Then I talked to Joseph. Joseph chuckled.
Yeah, because there's no way Jessica, who never got along with Dad and Mom, would agree to move back in. Dad even said to live wherever we want until they give up and move out. He's covering all the moving and rental costs.
I see. So, Joseph, who had been quite angry with Michael's presumptuousness, so easily decided to move out because he knew this.
I figured if I told you, Mary, you'd probably tip them off. Sorry for keeping quiet.
No worries. I feel much better now. Michael and Jessica were stuck waiting for my parents-in-law because they had nowhere else to go, with no savings and a canceled lease. When my parents-in-law returned home from the airport, they were furious to find their belongings sold off.
I never thought you'd be this irresponsible. You're not worth retraining. Get out now. Wait, I didn't think you were coming back. I thought Jessica and I could live here. Isn't Mom on my side?
Even mother-in-law couldn't cover for him. Michael never intended to live with us. I was a fool to hope he'd change. My parents-in-law handed Michael and Jessica the bills for the jewelry and watches they had sold and kicked them out.
We can't pay this. We have nowhere to live.
That's right. I'm not even working. Father-in-law shouted at the naive couple.
Unbelievable. You spend money you can't repay in a matter of months. Being jobless is no excuse. Work and pay it back.
The stern voice of father-in-law finally got through to them. Jessica began juggling multiple part-time jobs, using all her earnings for repayment. They couldn't cover father-in-law's monthly payment plan, so even Michael's salary had to fill in the gap. The two are now living frugally in a cheaper, smaller apartment than before. Later, mother-in-law and father-in-law came to the condo where Joseph and I live. Mary, I'm truly sorry. I got carried away thinking Michael could live with us. It's okay. It's in the past. No, it's not okay. And I'd like to ask you again. Mary, would you consider living with us? Mother-in-law seemed genuinely remorseful. We've always known that mother-in-law isn't a bad person. Joseph and I looked at each other and nodded. Our minds were made up. Of course, if it's okay with Daniel and Linda, we'd love to move back into that house. We all agreed to live together again as a family of 4. I feel like this incident has strengthened the bond between my in-laws and me even more.